I had barely finished saying he was my best friend into the microphone at my best friend's funeral when his father yanked me off the podium and slammed me into the front pew. My head cracked hard against the wood, and my note cards flew across the church floor. Before I could even understand what was happening, he was on top of me throwing punches while people screamed around us. "You don't get to talk about Henry," he shouted. "You my son." Two ushers pulled him away while his wife pointed at me with trembling hands. "Murder," she whispered. Then Henry's older brother stepped forward, his face cold as stone. "We know you gave him the pills," he said. "We know you were there that night and did nothing." The funeral director quietly told me I needed to leave before someone called the police. I looked around the church at people I had known my whole life, and every single face looked at me like I was poison. My parents sat 3 rows back. My dad wouldn't even look at me. I walked out without saying a word. The next morning, someone had spray-painted "Freak" across my car. The coffee shop where I worked fired me before my shift even started. My girlfriend boxed up all my stuff and left it on her porch with a note that said, "Never contact me again." I tried explaining that I never gave Henry pills, that I wasn't even there when he died. Nobody cared. People looked at me with so much disgust that eventually I stopped defending myself. A week later, my parents sat me down and calmly suggested I leave town until things cooled off. My mother's hands shook pouring coffee, while my father stared at the table the entire time. Neither of them ever asked if I actually did it, so I packed my car and drove until I reached a city where nobody recognized my name. I found a warehouse job where nobody asked questions and slowly built something that almost felt like a normal life. I made a few friends, but I kept everyone at arm's length because how do you explain that your best friend died and an entire town believes you murdered him? 5 years passed like that. The pain never disappeared, but it faded into something dull enough to survive with. Still, there was always this empty space where Henry used to be, where my family used to be, where my entire past used to exist. Last month I was packing up my apartment when a poetry book slipped off my shelf. Henry had given it to me for my birthday the year before he died. I thanked him back then, shelved it, and never opened it once. When it hit the floor, an envelope slid out from inside. My name was written on it in Henry's handwriting. The letter was dated 3 days before he died. If you're reading this, something happened to me and you deserve to know the truth. My hand started shaking before I even finished the first paragraph. Henry wrote that he had been volunteering at a rehabilitation center where he met a man named Joseph who had been paralyzed 20 years earlier in a hit and run. I heard the whole story while helping with his therapy, Henry wrote. A car jumped the curb and hit him. Several people got out, looked at him bleeding on the sidewalk, then drove away while he screamed for help. I felt sick the moment I heard it. The next pages explained why. The details matched one specific night from our childhood. A night both our parents went out together and came home acting nervous and strange afterward. A night they warned us never to talk about again. I confronted them, Henry wrote, all 4 of them together. They admitted everything. Henry's father had been driving when the car swerved onto the sidewalk and hit Joseph. Panic took over. His parents convinced everyone to leave before police arrived because it would ruin all their careers and destroy both families. For 20 years they kept that secret, while Joseph spent his life in a wheelchair without justice, compensation, or even an apology. I told them they had to confess, Henry wrote. I told them they couldn't keep hiding forever. Then came the part that made my stomach turn cold. They begged me not to tell you, he wrote. They said they were trying to protect you from carrying this burden. I agreed to stay quiet temporarily while I figured out what to do. But strange things have started happening since I confronted them. My chest tightened reading the next lines. My brakes failed on the highway, but the mechanic couldn't find anything wrong. Someone followed me home twice this week. I keep getting phone calls late at night where nobody speaks, just breathing. I don't know if I'm paranoid or if they're trying to scare me into staying quiet, but I'm scared enough to hide this letter. You'll only find it if something happens to me. Then I reach the final paragraph. If I die and they call it an accident or an overdose, understand something clearly. I have never touched drugs in my life. Don't believe whatever story they tell you. My parents have access to prescription medication through their jobs, and if they feel cornered, I honestly don't know what they're capable of anymore. I hope you never read this. But if you are, then the truth is yours now. I won't be here to fight this battle myself. I just sat there on my apartment floor holding those pages in complete silence.